Thank you so much for once again tuning in to Inside Iowa. I am Kim Chase, and today we are going to be talking in regards to the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa. But my two lovely guests today, you two are more volunteers with the organization, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce to you Justine Saxton. Hello, baby.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And Marcy Schrum.
Yep.
Now, Marcy, you're a therapist as well.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So were you kind of, in cahoots with the Eating Disorder Coalition because of what you do for a living?
No. Actually, I just finished my master's degree program in May, so I'm a new therapist.
Really?
Yeah.
Go get her, are ya?
I guess. I don't know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Michelle has some trust in you to come in and talk about a great big fundraiser that they have coming in. And I know you have some personal experiences, too,
Yes.
to share with us about
Yes.
eating disorders. And Justine as well, I guess are you behind the scenes in bringing this Jenni Schaefer's her name?
Yeah.
To town? Are you a part of that?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, you're in behind the scenes,
Yeah.
backstage, and all of that, huh?
Yeah.
And it's a fundraiser
It is.
to I guess, help keep the doors open with the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa. Both of you have personal stories,
Yes.
and I'm guessing that maybe you both found out how to get help in different ways or the same ways. I mean, there's a slight age difference between the two of you, and I was wondering, Marcy, if we'd done a good job of trying to educate people on where to go over time, but I'm sure it's a continual learning process, isn't it?
It is a continual learning process, and the other complication that arises when it comes to getting help for an eating disorder is lack of awareness about what an eating disorder is and lack of resources. So in Iowa, there aren't very many treatment centers. I went out of state
Really?
twice. Yep, and then
You're shaking your head too, Justine?
Yeah. Yep. I had
Yeah.
to go out of state.
back in '95, I believe, or was '90? Yeah, is when I was at Iowa Lutheran Hospital had a program.
19 years ago.
Yep, and that closed shortly after after I was there. They used to do like a support group, and that ended. So there aren't support groups for people with eating disorders. So really the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa is really to help people get to or learn about what an eating disorder is, how we can prevent it, how we can promote positive body image and body satisfaction, kind of change our language about how we talk about ourselves as women, as adults, as men, because that's what continues the pattern of eating disorders.
Okay, well, and before we turn the mics on and after I put my foot in my mouth a couple of times, we have talked, actually in depth before we even started the show about eating disorders and the misconception. So, Justine, right off the bat, man, it's not always just about looking in the mirror and what you see, right? It's also what's in your head.
Yeah. So, it's more than about the food. An eating disorder is more about the control and numbing yourself out from all the chaos that's happening in your life. And the major misconception of people having eating disorders is that you have to look a certain way. You have to be super skinny and, see every bone in your body. But there's few that are like that, and people can be average size and have one. You never know.
When I would look at to me, you're absolutely beautiful. I've already complimented her completely perfect complexion, great hair, beautiful eyes, but obviously something triggered something in you. What was your diagnosis?
I believe it was bulimia, because at the time that's what I had when I went to treatment, but it first started off as anorexia. That was in 5th grade when I started this whole cycle. So
how old are you now?
I'll be 21 in November.
21. All right.
So.
Because something else we wanted to point out is that you got help. But it's not like I'm cured. It's a miracle. Everything's better now.
No,
it's going to be something that you will fight the rest of your life.
Yeah, which it's hard to take in, and for people to say, you're going to fight this for the rest of your life, but there is hope. once you get the help and you finally come to realize that what you're doing to your body is not a good way to live, and you're actually killing yourself. And for me, the point where I came to realize that, I needed to stop was when I overdosed on pills, and my parents gave me the tough love and was like, no one else can do this for you. You can kill yourself as long as you want, but we can't do anything. It has to be you to decide that, for you to stop.
What was that like for you to hear? I mean, did that make you go, did that make you stronger?
At the time, it made me so angry and felt like they didn't love me and they didn't care. But, further along,
You
I
realized it was tough love, right, babe?
Yeah.
Because it was true, right?
It was.
Something had to trigger you up here. So let me ask you something, and again, you can share as little or as much as you want. Did your friends know?
Yeah, my friends knew. So it started in 5th grade, and in middle school, they would walk in on me in the bathroom. They would, and then go and tell our counselor, and our counselor was amazing. The counselor there really helped me a lot. I could go there whenever I want, and I think the teachers knew something was going on, but they, didn't really say anything unless I went to them.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can't get involved in, or you don't know if you should get involved in. That's before you go accusing somebody of doing something like that. So I take it you were vomiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
By then I was.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you want to throw what high school do you want to give this wonderful guidance counselor any credit here?
West Central Valley.
Wonderful.
In Redfield, Iowa.
Is that counselor still there?
Yes, she is.
What is her name?
Mrs. Stamps.
Okay, well, that's wonderful to know that there are people out there that can help you out then. So she helped you get pointed in the right direction?
Yeah. I started going to see a therapist because my mom walked in on me. I had short sleeves on, and she saw the cuts on my arm, and she did kind of notice me losing weight and not eating and everything. And when she saw those cut marks, she freaked out. She's like, "Are you trying to kill yourself?" and everything. And I'm like, "No, I just want to get rid of the pain I'm feeling. I want to numb out." So that's what
it is.
It is.
All right. Can you relate to what she's saying? I keep seeing you, Marcy, looking at her and listening to her. Can you relate to that?
I can relate to some of it. My story looks different because I'm older. I'm almost 40. And so back when I started, the eating disorder, it was in, the same age, but people didn't know or talk about it as much, I think, as they maybe know or do now. I'm not sure. I think there is more talk than there was. So my
You're
story,
doing something right then.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't, in fact, I had not really heard of eating disorders or what they were. I just knew that I didn't like my body, that I wanted to lose weight. It really was partly coping. I understand the chaos part, dealing with chaos that you're feeling in your life because of circumstances.
So that's kind of like you guys, that's like your stress reliever.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's something you can control. Like no one could control what I ate, when I ate, how much I ate. But I could control that.
I gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, so it would be.
And I would exercise a lot. I mean, there's multiple components. Some people don't have any of the purging. They just exercise to get rid of whatever they've eaten.
Okay, I've heard of that too. Yeah.
Or other people binge without purging, or other people restrict. So like she was saying earlier, there's no one face for an eating disorder. You don't always know if someone has an eating disorder
and there's
or not.
no one body image.
There's no one body that says this person has an eating disorder. And you spoke to that earlier today, saying, you don't have an eating disorder.
Gosh, never have.
But you're
I've always been thin.
But other people will make comments or have said things to you that, questioning.
It always shocks me because and people, we all know how cruel this world can be. But, when I was a few pounds overweight, for my body size, nobody came up to me and said, boy, you're a pudge. But, as soon as I felt good with my body again, they would ask me are you okay? Yeah, I feel great. Pass the pie. So people, it's a cruel world. Mm-hmm. It can be an interesting world how people can treat each other. Yeah. And I guess even you had said that it's not an addiction, but like a mental thing, a mental health issue.
Yeah, I think it kind of does go into addiction.
Does it?
I think. Is that right?
There's different thoughts and schools on that.
Just because there's so many variations as well, what you just said, right?
But also because food is a necessity. You can't choose to not have food in your life. Like an addiction, typically they say, food, or like with drugs or alcohol, that's something that you don't have to physically have that to survive. Yep. I think there's different schools or different thoughts on whether it can be an addiction. It does have definite addiction. Food in itself could be the addiction, I guess. But, because people can, say they're addicted to sugar or whatever. So kind of depends on.
And then there's those that look at you who just dig food and they don't get it. They don't get it. Right? How can you not?
I love that though, but that to me is how I want to be. Like people that just love food, I'm like, I want to get to that point where I feel like I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and not fear what it's going to do to my body. Like that's and so those people, those people are kind of like my role models. I'm like, I want to not care about that and just be me and be accepted for that. And not worry if people aren't accepting that for me. So and you'd think at 39 I would be at that place.
You would.
And I work on that every day in my life. I tell myself good things, and that's just
like how great that pinkish purple color is on you. That looks with your complexion, how great that looks. And when I walk up to meet you for the first time, I'm like, well, there's a couple of pretty gals. I mean, it's interesting that you don't know. And I get that too. I look in the mirror all the time and I think, my God, I am getting older. Look at the jowls, where's the facelift when you need it? But other people might not look at you. I hate my picture taken. I hate it because the camera doesn't lie. And I look like an old hag in those photos. It's awful. How can I look like an old hag? I don't feel like an old hag.
So you tell yourself something different. You say, this is experience. This is my life, and then you start to learn to accept those things and say, well, I have scars and I've had 3 babies that, have made me part of who I am. And maybe they contributed to these stretch marks that I have on my body. And who cares? Because now I have these, you start to reframe your life, and those things don't matter as much anymore.
That's true that, because I'm just thinking, you know what? Maybe people don't look at me that way. You know what I mean? They don't. So no. I'm trying to tell you that's anything that you look at to see a flaw. I'm not seeing it. So I think we all have our awful hurdles that we have to get over at times. So just Jenni Schaefer, is she just amazing to listen to and talk to from someone who, talk about people you can look up to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has been my idol for so long. She has gone through so much and is so open about her experience. And the first time I met her was up at Iowa State. They were having their Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and she came and spoke and sang, and it was maybe less than 6 months that I got out of treatment that I met her, and it was she's just an amazing person. Like, I wish she was my sister. She's just
so good to know that you've got somebody out there that, I don't know, is a good role model. Mm-hmm. Now, what about you? Now, Marcy, have you heard of Jenni before?
Yeah, I've read her books, and I met her at that same place, or met her at that same Eating Disorder Awareness Week at Iowa State a few years back, and she is just someone who has overcome. She talks about the kind of reality of having an eating disorder and what her experience was. And that's helpful to know that people recover and people fully recover. I think sometimes when you're stuck in it, you don't realize that there's anything.
So there will be one day maybe that you guys can both.
Well, I'm already there. Like, I don't feel, it doesn't control everything about my day. I'm very
used to?
functional. Yeah, there have been many times that was kind of the focus, or it was always in the back of my head, in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's any different than people who, have, who, like we talked about with other addictions, it's just more of like 6 times a day, or, I mean, when you're in treatment, it's 6 times a day you eat. But I mean, if like 5 times a day, people have to eat. So it's like, what's your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear?
Mine?
Kim, yes.
Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with food. It has
Right.
more to do with loved ones.
Okay, so say that you had to face that 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Imagine facing that 5 times a day.
How exhausting that would be.
And how, yes, like the amount of energy. Now, I know you're all, it's like, oh, this is just food. Come on, people, get over it. But when you're talking about something that had a different meaning, it wasn't just the food. And I talked earlier about how it isn't just the food. It's not just about how you look. And we've sort of had a focus on that. But there's also so many things that they're finding connect people with mental illness and, and that does include eating disorders with trauma, substance abuse, the ACEs, which is the adverse childhood experiences. People that have a high ACEs score, which is something something that's coming out now, that many people, it asks questions. The ACEs test asks questions. You'll probably get those questions at your doctor's office before long.
Personal.
Yes. Like if you had someone in your immediate household who was used substances, or someone who was someone who was incarcerated, you lost a parent before the age of a certain time. Those are all things that are on that, and people that have a higher score on that tend to have had or tend to have some type of mental illness or struggle, but also not just mental illness, but poor health. They have higher heart disease. They have higher rates of diabetes. All of these things that they're finding.
Stress-oriented type things,
yes,
too.
That if we start to recognize that, we can change, we can change like our society. We can actually make changes by having more awareness about these things and having people really pay attention to what they're doing when they're working with kids. That's what I do every day.
Yes.
And try to educate about that.
Well, let's talk about with Jenni, that would be a good night to help get that awareness out, right?
Yes.
When we're not talking just people who have an eating disorder themselves, family members, friends, because everybody can get involved, right? To help with being like your friends. I'm sure sometimes they don't mean to be boobs, but I'm sure sometimes they are when it comes to going out to dinner and things like that. Sometimes can that, even those simple things, even get awkward when or what? Tell me.
Yeah, when I was super in my eating disorder, it was hard to go out and eat, like go over to my friend's house and eat something, and
everybody's eyeballs were probably on you.
Yeah, and always watching me and making sure, I don't go to the bathroom or, stuff like that.
I bet that got old too.
It did, and some of my friends left, but I still have a good friend out of it.
It happens.
So.
That's what happens.
Yeah,
you get older. So the night is coming up on October
23rd, Thursday, October 23rd.
Thursday, October 23rd. And this is going to be a major fundraiser for the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa.
Yes.
So details, where they can go for tickets, what they can expect, the hours, and where they're at, all that good stuff.
Okay, so doors open at 6:15. Program is from 7 to 8:30. It's at the Iowa Event Center, Community Choice Credit Union Convention Center. No cost for the program. An opportunity to make a financial gift will be extended on site. Parking is $7. Free street parking is available.
Okay. All right. I think most of us have probably been to an event down at Wells Fargo before, so I think you should be able to handle that. Can they get tickets online? Can they get them at the door, you guys?
You can RSVP to www.edciowa.org, or you can call 515-276-7256 to reserve a spot. So if you have a group of people that you want to get together and just have a fun night out, there's dessert and drink options there. So come out and enjoy dessert. I think it's a great irony that for our eating disorder event, we're having dessert. Yay! It's so great. I think it's awesome. So
would you guys? Who would you recommend to come to the event? I mean, honestly, for a fundraiser event, anybody, but for the awareness and the educational aspect, who would we really like to see at this event? Either one of you.
Probably someone who has, a huge heart of eating disorders and just wants more information of how to help people that are struggling or even help yourself.
I think professionals that want to get involved in learning more and becoming part of an awareness and prevention group, because that's what the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa is really about, is prevention and awareness of eating disorders, resources, being a resource, offering support to families. The coalition itself is made up of not only professionals, but parents of kids with eating disorders, and people who have struggled themselves. So it's not just, the professionals getting together. It's people who really want to spread awareness because it has affected them personally and because they have a great deal of compassion for the people that they love and care about.
And I think that for the rest of us, that we could maybe take some time to educate ourselves a little bit more from just and this is not the first time you guys have been on the show, the Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa, but again, I learned some really good stuff today about trying to understand things that, people who don't do drugs don't understand drug addiction. People who don't gamble don't understand gambling addiction, because it's something that doesn't, how could you do that? People need to understand eating disorders. I get that now. It's more than just looking in the mirror and thinking, what your body image is. But
and I would like to also say, I think it's important for teachers to come too.
Yeah, teachers.
Because you're around the kids more than the parents do. You see more. So I think
that's good. They got the. You see behind the scenes at home.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so 515-276-7256. You can get more information on the upcoming An Evening with Jenni Schaefer. And what'd you want to add, Marcy?
Just that Jenni is motivational, inspirational, and you'll learn and you'll have fun at the same time. So come out, support.
Learning and having fun?
Yes.
I don't know.
They actually do coexist.
Okay, all right. And as we wrap up, and we've got about a minute, for those who maybe are hearing for the first time and starting to realize, I'm sure that's a first big step, is even yourself realizing there's a problem here. What would be your words of advice? Where to go?
Tell someone that you trust. If you don't have people in your life that you trust, go to the website edciowa.org, and there's resources available there. Tell your doctor. Tell someone so that you can get help. There are medical consequences that can come about with eating disorders, and even death. It has one of the highest mortality rates for females in terms of mental illness and disease. So
what it does to your body.
Yeah.
What about you, baby? What do you want to add? She about summed it up for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is hope. There is help. So you don't have to stay stuck in that.
Okay, An Evening with Jenni Schaefer coming up Thursday, October 23rd.
She's a singer, songwriter, and motivational speaker, and our MC for the night is Erin Kiernan from Channel 13, and we would love to see you there.
Wonderful. I didn't realize that until I saw a picture. She had a guitar in her hand, so it's more than just speaking. She's an entertainer.
Yep.
Wonderful. Marcy and Justine are guests today. You guys, thanks so much. You've been great guests.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
The Eating Disorder Coalition of Iowa. Until next week, this has been Inside Iowa.